So, I was thinking about that video you sent, and I thought it was, first of all, it was very, very heartwarming because it's nice to see, like, friendships that have lasted the tests, the many, many tests of time. And I was thinking I'm very blessed to have a lot of people that I have in my life. Maybe some I don't really see very often, but I've still, like, I have a couple of friends from, like, probably before grade one, I guess you guys would call it preschool. We here they call it like foundation stage, like FS2. And then I have some friends who have been friends with for the last, like, what, since I moved back to Dubai, which is like over 20 years. So yeah, every once in a while we catch up. But when I saw that video, I was just like, it's nice to have that, like, group of friends, whether it is women or whether it is men, that you just stay in touch with, and you guys can shoot the shit, sit, eat, drink, laugh.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. We were having this debate whether, you know, is it okay that you're, like, alone and you just have your, not that it's okay, but, like, the circumstances around, should you be alone and have your group of friends because you're never really alone, or about the fact of being in a partnership. So yeah, I thought we'd talk
Yeah.
about that today.
Yeah, yeah, it's I sent it to you and Orsi as well. I thought it was just such a beautiful video. And to give people context, so my mom has a group of friends from when she was like before they had me, and my parents
Yeah.
had me. They had these group of friends, and these ladies are all in their 70s. And it's this just video. I don't want to show it here. I don't know if they'll be okay, but otherwise I'll just show them, with the
Yeah.
dancing and everything. But they're like in the, imagine a group of five friends, five girlfriends who are 70 plus, looking just fabulous, sitting around a table, a couple of them dancing, listening to music, just good vibes all around, just like, I mean, just looking happy, healthy, you know what I'm saying? Like, and still they're so vibrant. Like, I don't know why, like, every time I look at this video, it just makes me so happy because I'm like, that's it. You know what I mean? I think most of them have kids that are like our age, they're the 40s and probably 50s for some of them, but it's like, it's just such a beautiful thing. And yeah, and it's so, and the other thing we're talking about is, like, what happens at that age if you are single, right? Like,
Yeah.
is that still enough? Is that group of girlfriends like that, is that still enough? Or you know what I mean? Like, or is having a partner something so essential? And that's what I'm curious, because it's a topic I think about quite a bit. And I think, like, statistically, they say, like, women tend to live longer, happier, and healthier when they're alone versus men. You know what I mean? Men tend to, like, check out. But like, it's just like, really statistically, if I remember correctly, like, women just tend to live longer. Like, we just have this capacity to just be, love our life the way that we are, and like, and also have these emotional connections with our girlfriends versus men. I think it's just a little bit different how we're wired. But what are your thoughts? You know, like, what are your thoughts of being, alone or not alone, and in your 60s and 70s?
Fall, I think they looked fabulous. Like, when I saw that video, I would never, like, have thought all these ladies are in
In their
their in
70s.
their
Yeah.
like late 60s, early 70s. So mashallah, like, tell them that. They look
Yeah.
fantastic. And one thing that was really, really clear is that how much they enjoyed each other's company. They were sitting around the table, everybody was doing something, preparing
Yeah.
something for the meal. So that really, that essence of, like, breaking bread together, and then some people are throwing it back. It just, yeah, it made me happy, and to see that, to see that vibrance and that and life. And to answer your question, it depends on where you are in life. I'm at a stage where I'm single. So although I have some amazing friends, and we, ever since we started doing this, I think our friendship has grown. The fact that we make even more of an effort to stay in touch and stay on top of, like, what's going on in each other's lives. And some other friends that I have, maybe because of, I don't know, circumstantially, traffic, life, work, children, or whatever it is, family obligations, maybe we don't get to see each other. The friends that I do have in Dubai, my very, very small circle of friends, but when we do get together, it literally is like, even if it's been like a quarter that went by and we're just catching up again, it is that sort of thing where, I know each of them has my back in a different way, and vice versa. But I do have to tell you, there is something that comes with that whole partnership. Now, whatever that partnership, whether it's a man and a woman, or two women, or two men, or whatever it is that your
Love is
preference
love.
is. No, yeah, love is love. Do you? Um, um, but I have to say, being on this side of it, especially now that my daughter's getting older and, pretty soon she's going to just be sick of me. I think maybe she is sick of me. You devote so much of your time to your kids and your family, but there comes a point where you have that space where you no longer, not that you're not needed, but life changes, kids grow, relationships change. So you find yourself in a space where you might be alone and you kind of like, I wish I had a partner to share the everyday ordinary with, go to the supermarket with, go for a walk with, have a coffee with, work out. I mean, I think one of the main reasons I would love to have a partner in my life right now is not for like the financial means of it. I can do it all by myself. I have been doing it all by myself, I take care of my household. But it's just that sense of companionship. It's that sense of partnership. Love changes, especially as you get older. It's not that Romeo, oh Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? No. Your hormones are in check-ish. So like, you want a partner. You want somebody who's going to tolerate you when you're hangry. You're going to want somebody who's going to put up with you when you're not in the best of your days and your times. And you just want to have somebody that you can share life with. And I know that your female friends can do that, but I think it's different when it's like your partner. There's a sense of love. Your female friends love you in a certain way, and there's no doubt about that. But I think having a partner in your life as a woman, wanting to have a man who's going to be able to make you feel sexy, or like, you guys still have that sense of courting each other, sharing those feelings, whatever they are. When you don't have access to it and it's not available to you, you kind of like long for it or yearn for it. But having said that, that doesn't mean that I'm willing to just settle. I'm just willing to let somebody in my life for the sake of, oh, I don't want to be alone. Hey, I just want to have a partner for the sake of having a partner. Then that's not a partner. That's just having a dude there. No, when I say partner, I mean somebody to really share the trials and tribulations of life with. And you're on the other side. You have a fantastic partner, and he's a great human
Yeah.
being. So, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Oh gosh. So I think definitely I think what you mentioned is so important is having somebody who can manage you in all your different stages. I think that's the reality. I think for me, I have up until Rashad, I don't think I've ever really experienced someone who puts up with all of me. With all of my personalities, you know what I'm saying? And I think if you have that, I think yeah, like I think it's definitely something that you want to have. But to your point, like I've also been in relationships where I'm like, I could never. Like I could there's no way. There's no way I'm sacrificing my life to be with this person. Like I don't care what that looks like to anybody. So I think having the right partner is number one. And you the key word is like partner, right? And I think to each his own what that looks like and what's important to you. What are your non-negotiables? What are your deal breakers, you know? But I think one of the biggest things, I think if you find somebody who truly, I don't want to say, I don't know if it's unconditional love because I think everybody has some sort of conditions, but I think as long as you can
Sure.
find that, you know what I'm saying? Like find that whatever find that acceptance of each other and like choosing each other every time. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's what it because it's work. Like it is work. Like when people say relationships work, they are work. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of self-discovery, self-awareness. It takes a lot, etc. But I think if you're able to do it together, I think that's powerful, right? And for how long can you do it together? Like how long, you know what I mean? So there it's complex, man. It's really, really complex. But I'm with you. Like I'm just like as you were speaking, I was thinking like when I was single, and I remember like specific moment in my life where, I always used to think like I always tied having a partner to like financial stability because, growing up in Russia, it was like a man's going to be a provider and a protector. There wasn't this like partnership companionship piece. It was more about like the provider and protector. And I remember when I was at a stage of my life where I was like, I'm financially good, like everything, I'm happy, like healthy, good friends, like everything was just great. But then I was by myself. I think I was in Spain at that time. And I remember I was like, well, this is great. And I was on a solo trip. And I was like, this is great, but I was like, and like it's great to be able to be here and to afford to travel and to have all these things, but it sucks to do it alone. And I was like on a hike. And I was like on a hike and I went with like a tour group, whatever, and I went on a hike and you know how much I love nature and all that. And I was like, and I sat there, I was like, man, I was like, yeah, that's great. Like it's good. Like it's cool to have to be like, financially stable and all that. But then it's like, then what? Like then you like you see these beautiful things and then you experience them alone. Like that was the thought that went through my mind, and I was like really happy. Like I was like happy just being me, But that was a big realization for me. And that point, I think this was many years ago, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't really want to be alone. It's not about like feeling lonely, but it's about like you want to experience life with somebody else. You don't want to see this beauty. You can have all the money in the world and try and do whatever you want to do. But then if you're just there alone experiencing, like to me, that's not, and to your point, like friends are one thing, and like I travel with my mom, I've traveled with my friends. It's just different. It's different.
I think it also comes down to something that's really fundamental, which is sex.
Yeah.
Like you can have sex with your friend. Depends on the amount of tequila and like the circumstances. And it's like,
Speak for
no,
yourself.
but no, I think also like, a part of partnership and companionship is sexual fulfillment, sexual gratification, because sex keeps you young, right? And sex
Yeah.
is such an
Yeah.
important, I think, one of the most fundamental things in this whole era of longevity where everybody's into biohacking and peptides and supplementation and blood work and all that stuff. But when you really think about it, time tested, time proven sex, if you really were to scroll in your timeline on like, or your algorithm helps you out a little bit, you see a lot of times where like they ask older people about what are their regrets or what do they recommend or a piece of wisdom. They always say have good sex, and whatever floats your boat. But that is also really, really important, like, having a partner to share that intimacy with, whether it's intimacy, whether it's love, whether it's lust, whether it's a night of tequila, whether you smoke a joint, whatever it is. But like you want to be able to share that with somebody. And if you're alone or if you're not dating, and if you're somebody who, obviously you want to be intimate with the right person, that doesn't come by very often when you're by yourself. So having a
Yeah.
partner to fulfill that aspect of your life is really, really important. So, I mean, when I think of partnerships and when I think of one of the things that I also miss is the fact that I miss regular intimacy. No matter how strong I am as a woman, no matter how much I can get shit done, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm hugging my pillow when I go to sleep, and that's
Yeah.
great. But like, it's also not great because it's like, well, the bed is cold and it's empty, and it's great to have a huge bed all to myself. But at the end of the day, we are human beings. We need connection. We need companionship. Um, and I don't want to say need in the sense that it's something that it is like comes out of loneliness. No, I think human connection is really, really important, right? When you
Yeah.
interact with your friends, when you're with your group of friends, women get together, or you get together with any group of friends who you've been with for a long time. When you think about who you used to be at a certain period of time, we talked about this a lot when we started this podcast, like, who we were 10 years ago versus who we are now. There's been such a great progression, but we have that relationship to share all of that journey and that story with. So I think there's something so beautiful in being able to share that with another human being, and also being there for them. I think it shouldn't just be a selfish thing where it's a take, take, take. You also have to be a giver, right? So I'm all about
Yeah.
also being there for my partner. I want to do that for them. Maybe I won't be able to be them in the financial sense, or who knows, depending on where life is, but just having the ability to take care of someone and to be taken care of by someone, I think is a beautiful thing. And I feel like we're in a world now where there's a lot more people choosing to stay single, and I understand everybody's reasons. Like I said, better to be by yourself than be with the wrong partner, or better to be by yourself than just be with somebody for the sake of having somebody there. But at the same time, it's also sad that not everybody wants to make as much of an effort because they feel like, oh, just there's slim pickings. Because that's why everybody asks me, how's your dating life? I'm like, slim pickings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I do think that like I said, it does take a lot of effort. You can be the happiest people, the happiest couple. It just takes effort. And I think, I always admire when I see couples that have been together for 20, 30 years. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
they must have gone through so much. I mean, Rashad and I've been together for 4.5 years. And I feel like we've gone through, like, some days we're like, man, like, it feels like it's been a lot, but also like, like you learn how to, I guess, move together. I don't know. I mean, ask me again in 5 years, you know what I'm saying? But I really, really admire, and I think we have as a society, and to the fault probably of social media as well, like we have as a society these perfect relationships that we see on social media where it's all like, catering to each other, and everybody's on a yacht and in Greece every summer, and everybody's just looking fat. I'm like, that's not the real reality. And I'm worried that the more we see this, especially young generations, the more they're like, wait, there's something better, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this, versus like tuning all of that out and really spending time to be like, what is important to me? What makes me happy? When all of that falls apart, when I go to sleep at night, when it's me, myself, and my thoughts, what makes me happy? What is fulfilling to me? What am I not gonna regret on a deathbed? Am I gonna regret choosing this person? Am I not? Do you know what I'm saying? And then the fun part of it all is you can't predict it. You cannot predict it. I mean, how many people have had marriages 10, 20 years, fabulous lives, and then just poof, it's just gone. Like some shit happened, and like whatever, and like just unpredictable things or unpredictable behaviors or whatever it may be, and things go away. So I think it's just to your point. Like I think it is effort. I think you have to recognize that it's it's making a choice to work towards a future that you want. At least that's how I view it. I think it's like a choice you make, because yeah, there's a lot out there in terms of like, maybe something better, maybe something different, who knows, but it's like coming down to like what's important to you. And I worry for the younger generations, honestly, because I think it takes a certain level of maturity and experience, and also having experience with, previously, to be like, oh, like I know what that looks like that's not, you know what I mean, like that's not for me. And it takes a lot of self-awareness continuously, I think,
I
to
think
like,
also
you know what I mean?
once you stay single for a very, very long time, you get used to being by yourself, you get used to your routine, and you get used to doing things by yourself. And
Yeah.
you're not sharing your life every day with someone. So if you get accustomed to that, then imagine at a later stage, as you get older, it becomes harder and harder for you to share your life with someone. So, when somebody does come along and you think about doing that, sometimes it can be intimidating, like, well, how do I share a room with someone? How do I share a bathroom space with someone? The silliest thing, how do I go to the bathroom with someone right there? It seems really, really silly, but you kind of get accustomed to yourself and everything that you do for yourself. So that act of sharing is also a form of growth, because at every stage in life, you need to constantly be challenging yourself and your mind to kind of see things in a different way and grow in a different way, right? That's why, the more you try and kind of put your phone aside and do things instead of like just constantly scrolling, because that does something to your mind. You're just in that same state, you're constantly doing the same thing, and we're all guilty of it. If anybody, there's very, very few people, I think, nowadays who are not addicted to the scrolling. That's why whenever, again, back to all of these longevity remedies where, oh, keep your phone aside for a while, because yeah, people have gotten so accustomed to that state of like loneliness in a way where your companion becomes your phone. Then when it comes to having a conversation with a real human being, it almost feels like it's something that's alien, right? And I
Yeah.
think before, community used to be very, very different. I'm not saying that people don't share space and that community doesn't happen, but I think that people do come together in a community setting for sure, whether it's family, whether it's friends, even colleagues from at a workspace. But I think that you'll find more people alone or single now than maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago. People are choosing to stay single, and then there's this back and forth where women are not like they used to be, or men are not like they used to be, and I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's just all part and parcel. Everybody has kind of gotten accustomed to a certain way of life. Everybody has gotten more selfish in a way where I just think about myself. And if this doesn't work for me and I can do it on my own, again, me, I. So we've gotten used to that. And it's easier. If something doesn't work out with someone, it's easier to walk away because you haven't invested a lot of time, right? Whereas you sit there and you do problem solving. Okay, we have this problem, let's talk about it. I think this is one of the things that my kids hates about like my personality, I would say. I know hate is a strong word, but whenever there's a conflict between the two of us or something that like has gone wrong, I always want to do root cause analysis. What happened? Why do you feel this way? Let's get to like we need to talk about this. And she's the total opposite way where, and I get it, she's young, but the reason I do that with her is because I don't want the answers to be, I don't know, I'm not sure, or just deer in headlights. Because I think that communication is really, really important. And when you want to have a partnership with someone, you have to learn to communicate. That's fundamental. And I think maybe seeing that video of your mom and her friends, they probably have a lot to talk about. And as the alcohol flows and the food keeps coming, your barriers and your boundaries kind of, your inhibitions come down and you start talking about things and maybe, before you wanted to keep to yourself. So I think partnership is important. For me, if I had to choose between being solo or having a partner, I would always want to have a partner. I love the idea of sharing my life with somebody. But at this point in midlife, smack at where I am midlife, I would tread carefully and want to share that with somebody who aligns with me and who's worthy of me in their life.
100%, 100%. You know what else? It's funny, but it always comes to me. And this is maybe the silly part of it, but I remember another realization I had was during COVID when I was in Dubai, and I remember that before that we all had a very vibrant life. We'd go
Yeah,
out on every weekend, dinners. There's a networking event every day. There's an event. There's something going on continuously. So you feel like you're part of this, and you're meeting people, and there's business discussions and whatever you're hustling, you're doing your thing. And then when everything stopped with COVID, and when everybody went back to their families and everybody
yeah,
went back to their circles, and then I don't, and at that point, like I had a couple of my close friends leave, you know what I'm saying? I was at that coming out of a relationship in the midst of COVID. So it's like, it was like, I was like, oh, it's like everything stopped. And like, no, you know what I'm saying? And then you realize how alone you are because I don't have family in Dubai, you know what I mean? So like, I felt so completely alone, which was one of the reasons also I ended up moving back to the US because I was like, like, I don't have family in Dubai. I don't have really, like, I don't have a partner. I don't think I'm going to find a partner in Dubai at that time. Like, that wasn't a belief I had. So it was like, so that was one of the reasons. And I think it comes down to like, when all goes wrong in the world, you want to have somebody. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, like you want to just have somebody there. Like, you don't want to be alone or like at least your immediate family, somebody. Like at the very minimum, but better yet, even just like a partner, you know what I mean? To just go through I don't know, world events with, what I'm saying? God forbid something happens. Like, you just don't want to be alone. Maybe this is the silly part of it, but ultimately, like, you just want to be there with somebody. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, because that was the realization. I was like, oh my God. I was like, all this effort, all this energy I'm spending on all these people, when at the end of the day, everybody goes away like this. Do you know what I'm saying? All the networks, all the parties, all the events, all the business conversations, all of that goes away like this when something matters, like when something happens, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
then it's so easy to get caught up in that circle and that life. And this is true all over the world, but it's like, don't be so caught up trying to like giving your energy and life to other people without focusing on how do I actually build that family for myself. You know what I mean? Whether it is maintaining relationship with your immediate family, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's being open to love coming into your life, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that was another big realization. So because I remember even before that, I was like, I'm gonna be the rich auntie. I'm just gonna focus on making money. You know what I mean? I wasn't rich at that time by any means, but like I was like, that was my goal. I was like, I'm just gonna hustle. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna do me. You know what I mean? Like, and so like I was, and then at that time I was like, like that was like the kind of the nail in the head for me. I was like, I really think I want a family like that because I was never like I wanted a partner, but then I was like, oh no, I want the family. Like you know what I mean? It's a little bit sad, honestly, want to look back. I came to that realization really late in my life because I truly, throughout my 20s and 30s, was just so like just fulfilled with who I am and my career and stuff like that. And just like the life I was living, like I never thought I wanted it. And then I felt like I realized it too late, which is, it's all written. So I am where I need to be at this time and all that good
Yeah.
jazz. I believe in that. But, and also I know why I thought the way that I thought. But it's like, then like I do wish, like I wonder how my life would have been if I would have thought about it earlier. You know what I mean? If I would have wanted that, because I didn't want that, which is naturally I attracted partners that weren't for me because I wasn't about to make effort. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It was a fill a void for me. I'm like, okay, fine, you know what I mean, type of thing. It wasn't like an intentional, do I want a family with this person? Do I want to build a life? Can I put up with all their bullshit? Can I put up with the good, the bad, and the ugly? Do you know what I mean? So it took it to it's in my, after COVID, I was like, no, I want that, so.
Look, whether it's a family or whether it's a friendship that you maintain for a long period of time, all of it comes down to effort. But as we get on in this journey of life, you kind of realize, who is it worth that I make that effort for? Sometimes it could even be people within your family. There are people in your family that just maybe don't deserve, whether it's immediate family or extended family, they might just not deserve that effort. Sometimes your non-blood relatives, well, no, that doesn't make sense. People who are like not blood, people who are not blood relatives, that's better. They might deserve more of an effort. I think what it just fundamentally comes down to is this sense of like community, partnership, companionship, is that we were never created as a species to be alone or to be solo. I think it's very important for you to learn how to be by yourself. You have to learn how to exist as an island, and be by yourself, be in your own silence and understand who you are. But that's not the way to be happy and healthy. You have to have that space. But also, I found when this conflict was happening, one of the things that kind of was kept my kept myself at ease, because I was looking at some of our videos that we did, and there's a couple where I look really tired and really worn out, and those were times where that was like I was feeling a little bit rattled and nervous, and those were the times that I wasn't going out as much, because every day I tried to get up, because we were all home, like nobody was going to school, nobody was going to work, nothing. So and I was not working as well, so that was adding more pressure. But I would always get up and go walk across the street, get a cup of coffee, and sit with the people in my neighborhood, and we would, yeah, talk about what's going on, but then we'd just start shooting the shit. And I feel like I solidified some deeper kind of like friendships. And then that comes back to the sense of like community. There are different people that you meet in your life who touch your life in a certain way. And you might talk to this person about something that maybe you might not talk to your friends who you've known for the last 20, 30 years about. But that person and that relationship and that moment in time, whether it is you're sitting at a coffee shop or you're at the beach, or it's somebody, maybe if you're lucky enough to find somebody at work that you click with, although I would always be very wary of the partnerships and friendships made at work, because there's always something there that you have to be wary about. But I think the sense of community and the sense of partnership and companionship, whatever that realm and level is, it's really, really important. You need to do that for yourself. Sure, it's great to go for a walk by yourself, but when I get up and go work out every Saturday and Sunday, I go to my HIIT classes here across the street. I love going there because there's a bunch of people who I see every morning. We all come, we say good morning to each other. In one way or the other, we see how everybody is pushing themselves to, like, do that workout or do that round. And it's all that energy, or whether it is like the instructor doing his horrible dad jokes, But the thing is, like, it's just that sense of community. And I think that's something that's always been really, really important to me. This is probably why I'm one of those people who could just not go to the gym by myself. I can't go to the gym and just work out by myself. I need to always do some type of class in a group or community setting, because I feed off of that energy. It's very, very important to me. Doesn't mean that I can't go for a walk by myself for 2 hours. I appreciate that part of it as well. But I like being around a small group of friends when it's curated, because also, like I said, I don't want to at this point in life share my energy and share all the goodies with everybody. If you're going to have access to me, you have to be worthy of it. So I think that's also something that's really important, because I think, again, back to that video, you can tell that these ladies really, really love each other. You can tell that these ladies are at peace with each other, that they're choosing to spend time with one another, and that they love each other's companionships. And that, I think, is beautiful, because I think that keeps you young and it
Yeah.
keeps you healthy. Healthy isn't just, your blood work showing you that you're healthy. Healthy is also a state of mind. How your mind is and how healthy your mind is also is a way in which you will have a long and happy life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, it's joy is a big part of health. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that, you can be, like you have great blood work, but if you have joy in your life, like it impacts so many other things. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot. There's a great book. It's called A Body Keeps the Score, and it's about
Yeah.
like not it's like not it's about not processing emotions, so it's about like not processing guilt or grief or any kind of trauma to being able to release. I do believe there's something to it, and I think joy is one of those things. I think some people go into like chronic misery and they're just unhappy, and I see that quite a bit in the US. I don't see it as much. Like we always talk about, like I don't see it as much in other countries, like because in the US it's very individualized, and I see like my neighbors, like I have some neighbors, and I'll see like some of them, like they live alone, like older women, they live alone, like they won't even say hi to you, like you know what I'm saying, and they'll just like have their headphones and they go for the like, but they are like, and I'm just like you see there's no joy in that person, like you don't even say hi to your neighbor. You know what I'm saying, like these kind of things, these are small symptoms of somebody who's not, you know what I'm saying, like you don't even smile at you don't say hi. I know you live alone because you're across from me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just to me it's a very sad life, and again, like to your point, I think that we're designed to be with somebody. We're not designed to be alone. So this messaging, especially, I don't know if it's like that in the middle. I don't see it as much in Middle East to Asia. It's just not culturally as accepted, I guess. But in the US, there's messaging of like individualism, and it's like, and it's all about what I want and me. But relationships require certain level of sacrifice. And granted, there's different levels of it, but it's just what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? I really believe, I think it's just like everybody has their, what's the word, like their, what's the word, like their cutoff level, right? Like how
Yeah.
much they're willing to sacrifice. Like you need to understand those non-negotiables. But I think the idea that you can just, that the minute somebody makes you unhappy, or the minute that something goes wrong and you just like, well, I'm not happy anymore. Like I think it's such a selfish, individualistic way. And I think that's, granted, again, you need to be aware of what you can and cannot live with. That's what my mom always said. Be aware of what you can and cannot live with. You know what I mean? And to each person, it's different. To some people, they hate the way somebody chews and they're like, I just can't. Right? To other people, they'll take so many things, but they're happy as shit. You know what I mean? So I think it's just like comes down to like, what you were saying, like a level of self-awareness and being able to be alone, so that when you're with that person, you're not trying to have them fix anything with you, but you can still continue to work on yourself alongside that person. But they're not there to save you. They're not there to plug some hole in you. Like, no, you need to do that yourself. You know what I'm saying? And think there's a big difference in that. Like, because I think we're all messy. We all have our own level of bullshit and baggage that we carry. But it's like, are you, are you doing it together alongside, or are you intertwining so much that it's impacting the other person too negatively? I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but I just think it's work, and I think
Well, look,
it's
I think also
you know.
it's a cultural thing as well. I think I always hear this, well, not always, I should say, let me say this better. I've often seen people say Dubai has no soul. And my counter to that is, in order for you to find a soul anywhere, you have to have
Mm,
a soul within you. Okay?
yeah.
So people come and go to the most touristic areas of Dubai, and they say, "Oh, it's just tall buildings and it's fake." Okay, if you go to any part of the world, there's going to have its fakeness and it's going to have its authenticity anywhere in the world. You just have to be able to want to go deep and find that. I have made and cultivated some of the most beautiful friendships in this city, just as I made and cultivated some of the most beautiful friendships in Vancouver, just as I still have some beautiful friendships from with certain friends who are living in Iran, you know. I think as much as detrimental as social media is, it also has allowed you to stay connected to people who were once in your life and then moved far away, but you have that little thread of that social media connecting you. But in order for you to have a soul and find a soul within a place or other people, you have to have one, right? And it's so important that you realize that that community plays a big part of that element of soul. In order for you to find a soul somewhere or within someone, you have to be able to bring that and give that, right? And um, you can find soul and share soul with somebody who may be passionate about the same type of music, or whether it comes to fitness, or whether it comes to cooking, or whatever it is. So in order for you to do that, not live that singular, that just it's just me, I, community comes really into it. And I think Middle Eastern cultures, and I don't want to say anything about the US, because me being Iranian, it's always going to be taken as, oh, the Iranians saying something, especially given the current circumstances. But culturally, and I think Russians also don't have a bad rap when it comes to this, because it's like, oh, Russians are very cold and, they don't smile. And it's like, I don't know, I'm an anthropologist. So for me, that's just when people say that, I'm like, you're being ignorant because you're not understanding the culture. Not
Yeah.
all cultures are the same. There are certain cultures where they might have poker face, but once you really get to know them, they can be some really, really warm, amazing people. So I think that you have to understand that in order for you to find soul and find community, you have to bring that. And Middle Eastern cultures, we just tend to naturally be very, very inviting and be very, very warm, and be very
Yeah.
much in the sense of let's share things together, right? Whereas I feel like as time has passed by, cultures in North America specifically have become very individualistic, and they've pushed this individualistic mindset to kind of create more barriers between people than have more things in common. And this sense of like empowerment for women has been very good, because it's pushed women to do so many things and reach so many heights for themselves. But at the same time, it's also kind of created this thing where they feel like, well, I don't need a man. We needing and wanting are two totally different things. I can sit here and tell you, no, I don't need a man, but I would love to have a man who's a good partner in my life. I don't need him to provide for me financially, but I want him to share with me. You know what I mean? Share life with me, share a glass of wine, share the beautiful moments, a song, you know what I mean? So I think that's the difference between North American cultures, and specifically where you are in the US versus where I am here in the UAE. Culture is a big part of it. Sharing is a big part of it, inviting somebody, especially when you find out that they're new, or even, saying salam, salam alaikum, just saying hello, greeting somebody as soon as you see them. That's the ultimate um, way of breaking the ice, right? Just saying hello. Because with that hello, you open up the space. Maybe they're shy, or maybe you're shy, but just that I always make it a point to say hello to everybody. If I read the body language when I see somebody in the elevator, or even walking down the street, like if I say hello, sometimes it could start a great conversation. Sometimes it's just a hello and we just move along. But I think that's a really, really important icebreaker. But I don't know. I feel like, maybe again, I don't live in the US. I haven't been to the US in probably, like, I don't know, donkey years, since 2012 maybe. So it's a different experience. Community is very different here. And I think in the US, different backgrounds, I think different immigrant backgrounds have a different sense of community. I'm sure that if you were looking to the Latinos or the African American community, it would be a different experience than the Caucasian community. Again, based off of research and understanding, you can probably speak more to that.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. You see this quite a bit. We have a pretty diverse community. It's very white, honestly, where we are in particular, but it has some diversity. But yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I have Hispanic neighbors, I have Black neighbors, and it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. And then being an interracial couple as well, you feel a different vibe from people. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just different. Everybody's, yeah, people are just, it's a mixed bowl of people here. And but then again, so is Dubai. But I think Dubai is just it's a unique place because when people come to Dubai, they adjust to the culture. And so, and that welcoming culture, even if they are coming from US or UK or like Western world, right? They adjust to the hospitality culture versus when a lot of people come to the US, I think, it becomes like silos. In the UAE, I feel everybody's a little bit more together. And maybe because it's very small, like it's like the energy exchange is different. But here in the States, I feel like if you have Hispanics, they're in their own circle, right? And if they interact with you, it's like, it can be, hit or miss. And same thing, Black community is very together. So I think there's still a lot of silos in that sense,
Yeah.
which then creates all that friction, and it's a whole other topic. But yeah, for sure. It's anyway, but it's which is why I think, like, I mean, again, I think that's why I'm with a black man, is because culturally we're closer together than a white American. You know what I mean? Like culturally we're warmer, like Russians,
And
and like
food
really.
probably has better seasoning as well. So
Listen, let me tell you, he will be the one to tell you my cooking game is 10 notches up. And I don't know how not to season stuff, okay? So like my seasoning is on point. Like I feel like I missed a whole lot of like flavor in my life up until this point.
the
What's the
chicken
word? It was
just
like
tastes better.
yeah, it's like if it doesn't make you sneeze, it's not enough seasoning, Something like
But
that.
look, there you go. You have a partner in your life where you get to share the joy of that. You know what I mean? And again, I don't have a partner in my life, but that doesn't mean that I don't have joys in my life. I think you
Of
hit the nail
course,
on
yeah.
the head. You have to have joy. Something has to bring you joy. You know, the relationship that I have with my sister brings me a lot of joy. You know, the fact that I have there's this lovely older gentleman who always comes to the coffee shop, and he's sitting with another older gentleman, and they're always talking, and like obviously they're in their 70s, so it's interesting to hear their stories and how they're at that stage in life where it's funny the way they talk about it. It's like, well, we know one day that day is going to come, and we're no longer going to be here, and you can tell that you're just really just enjoying themselves, and the conversations are just not as serious as maybe what you and I would take as like serious conversations. But them sitting in their 70s and talking, whether it is about their wives, whether it is about their children or their grandchildren, they've been through so much of life. They've been through 7 decades of life. You know what I mean? So their friendship or their companionship is sitting over um, that cup of coffee very early in the morning, talking about horses, talking about this, that, and the other. But that's their joy, and I think that it is important. You have to be around people, your friends, your family, whatever it is, that brings you joy. And I think that's what we saw in that video with your mom and her friends. They each bring some type of joy to one another's life. Now, your friends might drive you crazy. You'll have a friend that does something that annoys the shit out of you, but at the same time, that shit that annoys you also brings you a lot of joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really important at the end of the day when you have a partner in your life, whether that's your sister who's your partner, your crime, whether in crime, or whether it's your brother who you catch up with, whether it's your friend who you keep in touch with across oceans and continents, having that partnership brings about joy. And I think having joy in life keeps you alive, and that's
Yeah.
something that is so important. Keeping yourself isolated, sitting behind a screen, not leaving the house, or just not wanting to interact with other human beings, it's like a plant that you are not watering. And plants, whether they're supposed to be giving flowers or just having leaves, they are supposed to you know be green and give color and add something to the world. So I think, why would you want to deprive yourself of that beauty? Friendships are
No,
important.
absolutely.
Friendships are so
No, they are
important.
so
But
important.
I think
And
but I think in
mm,
the context of the right type of friendships, okay? Like, I'm not saying be friends with
of course,
everybody.
we're yeah. Well, of course, I think it's, I think just to be clear, everything, context matters, and I think yes, we're talking about quality relationships, quality friendships, quality partnerships, whatever that means to you, I guess. But as long to each his own, you know what I mean? I think that's for sure. And yeah, and I have to say something as we wrap this up is that I've been in my 40s for like 2 weeks and I love it here. I keep telling everybody, I love it in my 40s. I love it. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I know it's 2 weeks in, it's too early to tell, but I just love it. Like my level of give a F is so like it's just I have no tolerance for anything. Like it's wild, but it's so freeing. And I just love it. And when you're talking about the guys that are in their 70s, like I'm like, I can't even imagine how freeing it feels to be in your 50s and 60s and 70s. Like I think it's so beautiful. And looking at my mom's friends, you know what I mean? That's what I hope for, you know what I mean? Like I hope so, and hopefully with the same partner, but it's like at the end of the day, like if we're in 70s looking fabulous and healthy and just still getting together, you know what I mean, and dancing and drinking and eating and just having a good time, man, I won in life, honestly. That's my goal. That to me is success right there. Like, really.
Amen. Amen to that. It's important to have people in your life that you can shoot the shit with, get drunk with, have people who send you random voice notes that you can't open up around other people because it will be a
100%. You're
menace
like
to
that friend for
society.
sure.
But I
I have to
think,
like, I'm like, I need headphones for this one. I'm scared to
oh
open it in
no.
general.
Well, yeah, I could understand. But when I think of where I want the trajectory of my life to go, it's always very simple. And I've said this to you and many close friends. Ultimately, I'd like to be in a place where I'm somewhere by the water. I would have worked hard enough that I don't need to worry about money. It's not the goal is not to be a multimillionaire. The goal is to be comfortable enough where you have the freedom of time, which is the ultimate luxury and the ultimate currency. And you're around good people who allow you to be who you want to be. And they in turn can be themselves in their full essence and not wear any masks. And you choose each other. You choose because your time is finite. And imagine when you know that at some point, it's life. We have to go where we need to go. But you choose to spend it with the people who you really want to, and you're not forced to. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So when you speak to your mom, tell her that that video was a sense of true inspiration. And I hope that I can reach that. I hope that I get to live because I would like to grow old. I would like to get to my 70s and my 80s and hopefully my 90s because I want to be around to tell these young kids, man, our music was so much better in the 90s.
I'm telling people now, I'm like, what is up with these? We always repost like 90s, 80s music. Like I hear like on your page, I'm like, this was classics. I'll start
It
telling them now. I'm
was.
like, that's how you know it's old. That's how you know you're getting older, is when you start to be like, oh,
Yeah.
like in my day, like what in the world? How did I get here? But I love it here.
Enjoy your 40s. I really, it's an amazing decade. Really, you have a lot, people have a lot to look forward to in your 40s because you really just settle and sit within yourself if you've had that awareness and alignment within yourself. And man, to all the ladies like myself who are waiting, not waiting, that's not the right thing to say. I think when the alignment is meant to happen, it will. I still truly believe in love, and I think that when the right kind of love comes your way, it's not again like that Romeo and Juliet. It's the type of love that is going to be with you because it waited all of this time to find you.
Yeah. Amen.